One of the first strange things I noticed about apartment number 1 was a certain rotten smell. I've lived other places, I've been in other environments that have a certain smell. There are some places where the energy's fucked, but so is the smell. There was just something off. Some kind of, dampness smell. I know a rat or a squirrel or a cat rotting under the floor or in the walls. I know these different smells, rotten wood. But there was something about apartment number 1 that it smelled a different kind of rotten. And it felt that way too. Welcome to That Premium Thing with James. I'm your host, James. I am, in this episode, continuing the story I started in this week's free episode. At the time of this recording, it is Sunday, October 16th, 2022. The time is 2:18 p.m. Central, Tulsa, Oklahoma, North America, United States. I left off. Let's see. So I'm talking about leaving the old apartment and moving into my new apartment where I am right now, where I'm recording this. This is the first episode first couple episodes I've recorded in about a month. And it's certainly the first episode I've recorded in my new apartment. Same complex, different apartment, different building, different part of the complex. Similar setup, just mirror imaged, just sort of opposite. But if you want the whole story, and if you haven't already, I encourage you first go check out this week's free episode, and then come back to this, or I'm sure you'll be fine just hopping in if you want to hop in here. But let's start where I left off. What I thought was going to be the last time I walked out of what I'm calling apartment number 1. Now, the apartments are not 1, and this one's not 2. These are just codes I'm using for simplicity's sake. The apartment I left 2 weeks ago now is, let's see, actually more like 1 whole week. So it's Sunday now. Sunday a week ago, I didn't record. It had been a week. So yeah, I've been here for 2 weeks, but 2 Sundays ago from now, the time of this recording, although the show comes out on Friday, I was getting the last of what I could out of apartment number 1. And it was around 7 at night. The sun was going down, so there was still light. I opened the door, and it moves from my hand in a way that it shouldn't have. It didn't fly open, but it moved further than it should have, slower than it should have. The door, like in a scary movie, went. The door never creaked before. Ever. The front door never fucking creaked. Yet this, what I thought was the last time, and I was by myself for this part, it goes, creaks open, and I'm looking at this, what I thought was fully empty apartment, and it looks longer than usual. It looks like it goes in further, and I just do not want to go in. I need to make one last sweep to make sure that I've gotten everything out. All the trash, all the stuff we agreed we're going to throw this out. All the stuff I wanted to keep and bring over to the new place. Now there was one cupboard that had cups, glasses, and tea that I missed. I somehow fucking missed. And I was sure, Emily and I had gone through every inch, or so we thought, every single inch of that apartment 5 times over, high and low, looking in, cupboards and cabinets we rarely ever dealt with. But then there was one. It was the tea cupboard. And I go to the tea cupboard all the fucking time. How could I have missed the tea cupboard? But I did. But I didn't find that out until the next day, Monday. Might have even been, no, it was Monday. Maintenance stopped by and said, yo, you left wine glasses and teacups and a bunch of tea in one of your cupboards. I figured you probably wanted. I can let you in. We've already changed the locks on the place. I'm like, well, then, yes, please. I would like to go. And thank goodness the maintenance guy that informed me of this went inside the place with me. Because being there alone for what I thought was the last time on the Sunday, it just felt so fucked. Like the entire time I was in there, yet again, searching high and low for everything to make sure everything was out. Yet I somehow missed that one cupboard I always fucking go to. I felt like something was watching me, stalking me the entire fucking time. In that apartment, I often felt like something was stalking me. Something you could feel. Something that might touch you as you're falling asleep. And it had before. By myself, I just did not look around. I kept my mind focused. I was focused. Work, search, in, out. Clear, out. Leave the apartment, finally. Lock it up. Shutter. And I just felt like I was covered in the fucking energy of that place. And speaking of weird energy, the downstairs neighbor, the woman, she'd been watching us the whole fucking time. For 3 days. We only had 3 days to move our shit out. But we did it. And the whole time, there was one point, Emily was outside. I was inside dealing with the dog and packing stuff up. Emily was moving some stuff back and forth from the apartment to her car. Boxes I had already packed up. And the downstairs neighbor, the woman, the screamer, she drove up, parked, and just sat there for 5 minutes, just watching Emily, just watching her the whole time. Emily went up, went to the car, came back, told me, yo, our fucking neighbor just parked and is just sitting in her car, and it's running, and she's just watching me go up and down this hill. So that's so fucking weird. What a freak. And this 40-year-old woman, this neighbor. And then finally, after a couple trips up and down this hill to get boxes into her car, Emily said she finally came up and just mean mugged the neighbor who was still watching Emily the whole fucking time. And then the neighbor woman backs up and drives off. She never got out of her car. She just sat there watching Emily. Now, this is a woman who there was a special needs kid who lived in that apartment below. And he should not have been there because that woman most certainly was unfit to take care of a special needs kid. I mean, the kid, she would leave him alone every fucking day for hours and hours. And he would be screaming and making real fucking weird screaming noises, banging on the walls for hours and hours and hours. And Emily and I would tell apartment management, like, yo, there's a boy there who clearly is special needs. And like this woman who we've already told you about fucking screaming and have, played recordings for you, she leaves him alone. And he just completely loses his shit. And the property manager would be like, no, it's just her. She just has a daughter. That's it. We were like, no, there's a boy there. And we would play audio of the boy. Like, it was bad enough that me, dude who's pretty fucking chill, it was bad enough that I was like, fuck this. I'm getting audio. And I'm talking about this because I'm not going to fucking deal with this shit. I've already been through too fucking much. This is just ridiculous. I'd play the audio and the manager would go like, what is that noise? I'm like, that's the boy. That's the special needs boy I'm telling you about. Well, finally, one day, one of the maintenance guys had to come through and let the bug spray dude in, and they happened to see said boy that Emily and I had been talking about, informing about for months. And the property manager was finally like, there's not supposed to be a boy there. The woman said she only had a daughter. So she calls our downstairs neighbor, the property manager does, calls the downstairs neighbor. Downstairs woman says, oh, that's my son. So downstairs neighbor had been lying this whole time. Why? Who fucking knows? Who fucking knows? And then there were other people living there. There was always some number of different people living there. Like, I never knew who was there, what was going on. Constant parties, constant yelling, constant fighting, cops, bloody articles of clothing, so on and so forth. At some point, there was a dude who had been living there for 3 or 4 months. Short dude, fresh out of prison. Like, he was on parole. And I only know all this stuff because he was constantly outside on speakerphone, full fucking volume, shouting constantly. He was doing some business with a veteran at the end of the building, a guy about, I don't know, must have been in his 30, 20s or early 30s, who was clearly fucked up all the time, on drugs. This fresh out of the clink con was making moves with this dude and then getting in fights. I'd hear baby mamas fucking screaming their goddamn heads off. I've lived in some rough areas before, but this didn't even really fit in. This isn't really the hood, but fuck, they brought the hood with them. This dude, the con guy, He's the one who kept getting and screaming. He and everyone else there kept getting in screaming fights. I'd hear other people that were living down there talking about how they can't stand him, yada, yada, yada. And we were telling management again, like, yo, there's some fucking dude here. We've never seen him before, but all of a sudden he's living here out of nowhere. So then, management's like, yo, if you hear him again, call me and let me know, and I'll come see, because I don't know about this dude. So I hear him one day, and he's getting into yet another screaming fight with someone on speakerphone. And I call the office. Manager comes down. She knocks on the door. Con answers, and she's like, "Who are you?" And the con says, "Oh, I'm just babysitting the daughter." Babysitting the daughter who's in fucking high school? No. He's fucking living there. Okay? So then, like a week or two later, come to find out, management reaches out to me and Emily and is like, so your downstairs neighbor, she said that guy, the scary guy, is her son, and that he's not living there. And we were like, he most certainly is living there. And the maintenance guy happens to overhear this, and he's like, oh no, he's been living there for a few months. So our downstairs neighbor was constantly lying and lying and lying. Yet she would also like call up to the office and complain and be like, I've never had a problem before. No one's ever complained. We're so quiet, blah, 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 blah. It just, I don't even, I don't feel like I'm doing a justice to how fucking weird it is. Like when this woman would get drunk, she would start making, there's drunk loud. I like to party, and I've definitely been a party animal, but I've never heard the kind of animalistic noises this woman made when she was drunk. I'm talking like, and it sounded like the kind of sounds the special needs kid made when he was alone and freaking out. I'm talking banging on the walls and shit. Yes, that sound. That kind of screaming. It was extremely disturbing. I've lived in the fucking hood. I've lived and I've experienced the ghetto. I get it. But something about that circle of people, and even if it was a new face, when you pass by someone around here, even if it's a stranger, you'll at least like nod at each other. Like you can kind of acknowledge like, yeah, I see you. Every single person, and you could always fucking tell who was part of whatever fucking weird circle was going in at that apartment down there. Every single time, they always had the head down. Not as in like a subservient thing, but like they're hiding. They're always fucking hiding. Why? What the fuck was going on? What was with the weird fucking noises? I'm talking, and especially the special needs kid, it sounded like Emily Rose. I hope this is not being insensitive, but it was one thing hearing that. I'm like, okay, the kid's special needs, but then hearing her getting rip-roaring drunk often, and then making these like possession noises. It wasn't just your average, woohoo, yeah, laughing and stuff. It was fully like weird. And the people she's partying with sound like your, normal drunk people. Woo, yeah. But then there she is, demoning out, Emily Rosing out. And it just kept lending to just the weird fucking energy of that space. And then so it finally came time. Living there, it was like constantly, even in my life in general, just thing after thing after thing. And I was trying to get my fucking life back together after everything fell apart. Thing after thing after thing, again and again. Constant rot going on in that space. Mentally, energetically, everything was just felt fucking rotten. And in the process of me and Emily getting our shit together and getting out of that place as quickly, efficiently, and cleanly as possible, still so many small fucking things just kept falling apart. We started in the process of moving, and this was not our first time moving. We've moved in much higher pressure, higher stakes situations before. It's something about that space. And if you watch, Ghost Adventures or shit like that, a space can really affect how you think and how you treat other people. We got into, let's say like this, we make good efforts to be reasonable. If we have an issue or something, we don't get into a screaming match. We don't do that. We discuss it because we've both, experienced enough unreasonable, high emotion, screaming madness in our youth as kids growing up. And we don't want to be like that. It's like, we want to actually be mature. Like, we have issue, step away. If you're feeling heated, come back. Let's talk it out. It's always been like that. And we've known each other for almost 10 years now. I think we're maybe a year shy. Yet at some point during this move, we got into a screaming match. And it had never been like this before. In that space, as we were moving stuff out, both of us felt like something was fucking stalking us. But we got out. And even afterwards, I felt like I had to shake the place off. Like I said, it's been 2 weeks now, and I just now, like as of say yesterday, Saturday the 15th, feel cleansed. And sure enough, of course, Emily burned some Palo Santo, mostly to cover clear out the smell of Cosmo. He had a major fucking mess in the carpet. But I personally finally feel clear of that space of apartment number 1. And now we're here. And I realized in the 2 months, because I thought we had to give like a 1 month notice, but it turned out we had to give like 2 months notice if we're leaving, 60 days, which I've never lived anywhere that required a 60-day notice before you move out before, but whatever. Once we settled on apartment number 2, where we are right now, where I'm currently sitting recording this episode, I realized one night while taking Cosmo out for his last call, is what I call it, his last potty of the evening, and that's usually anywhere from 10:30 to midnight. I didn't realize it until maybe a month before the move. Cosmo, for months and months before we even realized our lease was coming up, because we were both so fucking caught up in trying to fucking stay sane with the madness of the last apartment. the constant fucking tension, the eyes, the ears, the fucking strangeness, constant on edge. I never noticed, but for months and months and months, like from the time we got Cosmo, he would always come to the building I'm living in now. And I realized it like a month before the move, once we'd agreed on we're getting this apartment, I realized one day, wait a second, Cosmo's been leading me here for like fucking ever. He always naturally wanted to get away from the other apartment and come directly to this building for months. And then when it came time for the lease to be up, and when I asked, do you have any other available units? And she was like, building such and such. I didn't realize it. I didn't know which building was which. I didn't know where it was. And then even when we, came to tour the place to begin with, before it was quote unquote flipped, I didn't, it didn't really occur to me that, wait, I've seen this building before. And we agreed on this building. And then Cosmo led me here. And that's when I realized Cosmo's been leading me here for months and months and months. I had no fucking idea. And I'll take that as a sign. Because dogs know. I mean, animals know in general. But, if a dog's leading you to a spot, if he really likes a spot, and if it feels good, then it's good. And I can tell you, this new spot feels amazing. And I've already met the new downstairs neighbors. And I like them. My new downstairs neighbors, I like them a lot. They're normal people. They're nice. They, we talk every now and then when we see each other outside. And even, like I mentioned, Cosmo recently had a huge mess in the carpet, and it was late at night, and it fucking reeked. And I was like trying my damnedest to clean it up. And and we have a carpet shampooer as well. It got to a point where I was like, this cannot sit here in this carpet because it's going to set real bad. And there's no way I can get this by hand. I have to use the machine. So I got the machine out, and it's not a quiet machine. I had all the windows open and everything, trying my damnedest to air this place out. And I was just like, I was annoyed because I told Emily, keep the dog in the cage because we knew he was getting sick. Keep the dog in the fucking cage. But she let him out because he was crying. And then sure enough, he got the most sick he's ever gotten on the carpet. And I was like, you cannot, you have a little puppy. You do not get the privilege of this much incompetence. Okay? I was pissed. I got the shampooer machine out, and I was like telling myself like, sorry neighbors. And I looked at Emily because this was her fault. I was like, we're going to write a note apologizing to the neighbors tomorrow. I ran the machine. Sure enough, cleaned the shit up out of all over the fucking carpet. And then the next morning, which would have been yesterday morning, Saturday morning, I wrote a note for the neighbors. And I made Emily sign it with me saying like, hey, our puppy had a very major accident. And sorry for all the noise we made around 10 last night. Well, Emily and I go out for the afternoon just to run around, get some Halloween stuff. And when we return, there's a note. It's a response note from the downstairs neighbors who are about our age, writing, honestly, we didn't hear you at all. And we're sorry your dog's feeling great. I hope he feels better soon. And we apologize if you ever hear our dog, because they've got an old dog. I never hear their dog. So now I know I can run a fucking loud machine here and they don't hear us. And apparently their dog barks pretty often. I never fucking hear it. Now I've heard it outside and it's really not that loud. So I reiterate, this new space it just feels so much better. And I will it for whatever extent I'm able to. I will all things good and productive and happy new to come of this move, where everything just kept falling apart for years and years and years. I will this move, this place, this time to be the beginning of things going right. That's it. Next week, I'm going to record another episode, and it will be the Halloween episode. So, thanks for tuning in. I love you. And if you have some Halloween spooky stories, if you have spooky spaces, creepy neighbors, email your story to me at thatthingwithjames@gmail.com. I love you. Thank you for being a patron. You rock. I'll catch you next time. Bye.